Are officially recording. All right. I hope everyone is having a good Grand Friday. If you do not know me, my name is Ryan Morrow. I am a trainer on the learning and development team. I've worked with quite a few of you in the operations sector. So hello again. And those who I've not met yet, nice to meet you. So today we are going to talk about communication expectations within All In, specifically geared towards note taking. This has been a pain point more so for quite some time. So we have created a presentation to kind of hone in on specifics to All In note taking. So that's why we're here. Yeah, so it's super important, super simple nonetheless. But before we jump into it, because I know a lot of us here are more so experienced in general, just utilizing All In. So if I can have a few volunteers, if they don't mind, just tell me exactly why using the note feature in All In is important. And then you can just hit the, at any point in the presentation, stop me if you need to. If you have any questions, just hit the little hand icon at the bottom and raise your hand, and then that'll trigger me to stop where I'm at. So why is it important that we utilize the All In note-taking feature? Anyone at all? Go ahead, Veronica.
Well, I'm not really a veteran quite yet. I'm still pretty new, but I can definitely interpret that the note section is super important for the ops department in general, because it is where all communication, progress, issues, escalations, a lot of information is in there. So I seem to kind of use that note task every day on every file.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then Justin, go ahead.
Also, let's say maybe someone's like not in the office or away from their desk and something's urgent. So communication in the notes section keeps everyone in the loop. So if something's urgent, someone else can go in and know exactly what's going on and then take care of whatever task is needed at the moment.
Bingo. Very good. Yeah, great point, Justin. Yeah, that's really the emphasis of it, right? Is if someone were to leave or someone's out sick, right? Anyone should be able to just simply jump into the loan file and then pick up exactly where the last person left off. So at any point during, the loan process itself, the whole point of the note-taking feature is for that specific point that you just made, Justin. So very good. Cool. Thank you both. So we'll jump into it now. Again, the whole point of this is we are utilizing the all-in note-taking feature. That's kind of what we're honing in on for this presentation itself. And again, at any point, if you feel the need, have any questions at all, feel free to stop me. Just hit the little raised hand icon at the bottom, and that will, again, trigger me to stop where I'm at. But for now, we're going to jump in. So first, we'll cover our learning outcomes. So what we'll do here is we will ultimately articulate how good communication influences positive client experiences and then effective internal communication workflow and team member success. We'll identify the value of standardizing internal communications, identify good versus bad examples of internal communication, and then demonstrate effective note-taking within All In. All right, so first we will do a very quick activity. So you're going to see 3 sticky notes with 3 different forms of the same communication on them. And they're very straightforward and very simple. And I'll read each sticky note. And then after I've read all 3, I'd like a few people to just offer their opinion on which one is the most detailed, meaning which one provides the most information. So first we have sent a text to the borrower with request, sent a text, and sent a text this morning to the borrower with request to sign the intent to proceed. All right, so can I have 1 or 2 volunteers to tell me which note of the 3 would be the best? Go ahead, Tim. So 3, right? Good. Pretty straightforward, right? This is, a common example nonetheless, and it does detail how simple a note can be, right? Because we do utilize texting to our borrowers, but we want it to be as detailed as possible, even if it's as simple as sending a text. We want to have more information than simply just saying sent a text or send a text to the borrower with a request, right? So what kind of request, or what was the purpose of the text? So at least, number 3 gives us an idea of some potential next steps we may need to take, some action items that may need to follow up from this specific note itself. So sent a text this morning to a borrower with a request to sign the intent to proceed. That pretty much, gives us a good clue on exactly where we want to go. And the point of that is to kind of answer 3 questions every time that we issue a note. So first would be when, right? So send a text this morning. That would be when. We can even make that more specific if necessary. Secondly, who. So who are we sending a text to? So the borrower, right? Again, we can even be a little bit more specific and include that specific borrower's name. Say there's a couple borrowers, and maybe not all the time you would send to each borrower separately. So which borrower? So we can even specify more on that. And then what? So a request to sign the intent to proceed. So that answers 3 basic when, who, and what questions. So if you had to follow up on this note specifically, you do have, the information to do so. So, imagine again, if a coworker of yours was out sick from, work for a day, even just one single day, and you had to step in and pick up on the last task completed and then take the next step on the file, right? So with a note like this, again, even if it's super simple as, simply just sending a text, you can confidently, do that. So, kind of a different look is, say that the note did say sent a text with no further detail, you wouldn't know what action to take next. And as a result, right, a few things could happen. A day of progress of the, the file itself could be lost, right? And time is money. We're always working on, very strict time frames. The borrower could be upset that you're contacting them again for the same information or for incorrect information. And I know that does happen. The relationship could then become damaged with the borrower, ultimately resulting in a lack of trust. And, you could simply just get frustrated about the lack of information left by, one of your coworkers because, can make you look bad, resulting in another, position of lack of trust. So there's a lot of takeaways with, something as simple as this note itself. But the key takeaway here is, that detailed communication is going to be the key to success on multiple levels. So just keep that in mind. And to kind of looking at it from, a non-work related outlook or, different situation, communication is key in general. Every kind of point in life, communication or effective communication makes a difference, even in your personal life. So, in this example here, imagine if you've made a plan with a friend to meet after work on Friday for happy hour, so today, and you both had a rough week and are excited to meet up for a few drinks, and then you're waiting at the bar and thinking that your friend is running late. You get this simple message from her. It's 6 p.m. Where are you? Happy hour is almost over. So you're confused because you're already at the bar. So you text back, I'm at the bar on the corner. Where are you? And then Angie responds, wait, I'm at the bar on the corner as well. So, non-specifics here result in a lost opportunity to catch up with some old friends over some drinks in a very real world life scenario. Let's focus back on work. So why should I care about communication? So we've just discussed a few reasons why effective communication is so critical and why you should care about it. But let's discuss it in a little bit more detail while relating it to some of our core values here at UMortgage. Always about the core values. So experience is everything. So consistently successful client experiences are going to be our ultimate goal. So the only way to achieve this is by having effective, detailed, and standardized communication. And then creating strong community. So having successful experiences with clients will ultimately result into more referrals, making the company and you more money and more success. And then getting better every day. So using effective communication will strengthen you in your professional role and help you become more successful with your clients, with your coworkers, with leadership, and even financially. So, when you think about it, there really is no downside to using effective communication. It really is very simple, but it is a very key pillar to success in general. All right, so think of effective communication as a way to work smarter, not harder. So it will save you a significant amount of time in the long run to just take the time up front. So if you practice effective communication and note taking during your workday, it will save you time when interacting with clients, coworkers, and when working through files. For example, after ordering the appraisal for a borrower, add a detailed note in All In immediately. So the time frame is key, and just do it immediately. So if you have a screenshot of the action completed as well, you would add that into the note. So then at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about putting in notes from earlier, and you know that your note was detailed enough, and that the next person that looks at the file will know exactly what to do next, which is key. You just want to make sure that anyone who potentially could have to come in and take over for you would know exactly what to do next. So in this session, we're going to be focusing on effective and detailed note-taking in All In, because All In is the single system of truth for all of our team members here specifically. So the notes that we create must be prompt, accurate, detailed, and consistent. So let's start off by taking a look at what bad or ineffective notes are going to look like, so we can identify what to avoid. And I'm sure we've all seen these here and there as we've had some experience in All In. So in this note thread in All In, you can clearly see that this specifically has no detail provided in the notes. So what we highlighted here, so left voicemail provides no real information. So we don't know who the voicemail was left for, what the voicemail was about, or what action needs to be taken next. Similarly, in this message, a lot of information is missing, as we can tell. So, which documents are we waiting for which step in the loan process are they needed for? So who needs to provide these documents? So if you stepped in, to take action on this file, you would probably be frustrated by the lack of detail in these notes specifically, right? So, I think most of us, if not all of us, would, be somewhat frustrated by these notes because, again, we wouldn't have enough information to move forward on this file. And these are actual real notes that we've taken from All In. So, this is actually something that was, priorly occurring. That's what we're trying to fix, essentially, and get better at. All right, so the second one. So in this note, again, you can see lack of urgency. And we always want to be as urgent as possible. So the first note, left in the morning, is very urgent, as it speaks to the documents needed to be submitted that same day in order to close the loan on time. So the next message indicates that at 6 p.m. that same day, nothing had been uploaded. So this lack of urgency may have cost the business a loan, so us at UMortgage, a loan, and then a customer and a potential referral. There's a lot of, a chain of events that occur negatively from the lack of, detail in your notes, lack of urgency. So we want to work at a fast pace in order to meet our business goals, obviously, and, give our clients a very successful, positive experience. And our notes must reflect that, because, the type of urgency is key, and our documented notes need to, provide actions that we've taken and what actions need to be taken. So keep these kind of concepts in mind as we talk or see further notes. All right. So next is more bad notes. So in our final example of a bad note, it's obvious that the response time is unacceptably slow. So a note was submitted on February 4th and no response was given until February 24th. So it seems that the file was on track, right? But if no notes are left in All In to indicate, exactly what steps were taken, then it's basically as if those actions didn't happen. Obviously a 20-day time frame, obviously there's going to be a lot going on within those 20 days, but we have no visibility into what is actually happening, right? So it's hard to kind of pinpoint. You can't walk into a file, and actually have an idea of what is going to happen next or what needs to happen next. Again, remember, All In is the single system of truth for all of us here at UMortgage. So if someone is, again, out sick or is no longer on the file and someone else needs to step in and pick up where the last person left off, they need to be very accurate, very detailed, and consistent in their notes to be able to do so. So each note you write must have detail, and it must be timely and acting with urgency, meaning that you must follow up on items within a set time frame, which we'll cover that time frame piece in a minute. But at this point, do we have any questions, or what questions do we have at this point, if any? All good, right? Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right. So now let's look at some good notes. So, by now you're probably starting to get a better understanding of what a good note should look like based on, what we know now to avoid. So each note that you submit in All In must be, again, very detailed and very accurate. So let's take a look at some of the detail in this specific note. So we want to cover the who section. So this note includes all parties involved, which is key. So Dustin, Alicia, and UWM. For the second box, the what section. So here, the reason for this note is detailed at length because we're requesting needs from the borrower, again, such as proof of non-ownership and double checking that this, or confirming this essentially. And then the when, so this shows when this action has taken place or will take place with specifics such as over the weekend. Again, you can even get more specific with over the weekend if there is a actual date attached to it, which could help. More specificity is key. The action section, so these notes tell the team member what action can be taken next, or what should be, or once the action is taken, what's the next step in order to complete that action, which is key. The follow-up section, so notes are going to be included regarding, again, the follow-up section. So for here, this person is planning to send a text to Alicia at 3 p.m. And then total needs remaining left. So these are going to be listed out clearly and include any various pieces of documentation. So you got to note that the types of documentation needed are here, that are listed out here. So it doesn't just simply say documents, which would not be specific at all. So each point here, adds very detailed and very specific pieces of information, which is key. All right. So again, as you may have noticed on the last slide, that the note was set up using a very specific format. And if you haven't been using this, or you have been using this, some of you may be using this already. But this format is going to be our new template, our new note template. And then we're going to use this for all of our notes moving forward within All In, okay? So we're going to follow this template, and the necessary information will always be in All In, which is the point of it. So this is going to ensure that we have successful client experiences every time, and that your own workflow is going to be clear, accurate, and easy for all team members to follow, right? We always want to make sure that if need be, the next person to come into the file has a complete, clear, accurate picture of where we're at with the loan. So let's check out what the template consists of. So it has 6 sections. So we have who, what, when, action, follow-up, and total remaining needs left. So in the who section, write who you talk to. So this could be the borrower, the underwriter, LO, or a third party, and be very specific with these, these individuals, right? So if it's the borrower, what borrower, their name, underwriter, which specific underwriter. You get the idea. In the what section, so give detail on what was discussed. So this should mention names of who was involved in the discussion and how you communicated with them specifically. In the when section, so discuss the agreed upon time or time that the issue or need will be resolved. In the action section, give detail on what the next steps are. So speak specifically to the documentation needed. And in the follow-up section, note what you are going to do if the person does not deliver at the agreed upon time. That's key as well. And then finally, in the total remaining needs left section, provide detail on what else is needed. So make sure to say who it's needed from specifically. All right, again, this is going to be the template that we utilize for all notes moving forward, okay? So who, what, when, action, follow-up, total remaining needs left. Some of you may already be utilizing this, which is good. All right, so I'd like to show you one more example of what a stellar standalone or stellar note looks like using this specific template. So you'll notice that the notes template are again listed here, as we can see. So the who section lists the name of the person involved and the form of communication. The what section speaks to what Dustin was asked for, so with specifics on the documents. The when section talks about how often Dustin is responding and what the team member will do when Dustin responds in the future. The action section describes what will happen after Dustin provides the documentation. And the follow-up speaks to who the team member will follow up with and when, and then the remaining needs list the specific documents still needed. Again, pretty straightforward, but a very linear way of utilizing this specific template. And again, we're going to be utilizing this moving forward for all notes, okay? All right. So here are going to be a few additional items to remember when submitting notes in All In. So when filling out the note template, use words like will and can rather than should and try. So this mindset change, this is a mindset change as well as a wording change. So when you fill out a note, always be thinking about what you will and what you can do rather than what should be done or might be done. So it's a mindset shift, but it's also a wording shift, which is clear or key as well. So don't forget to attach a screenshot of confirmations of emails, texts, what have you to the note for optimal visibility on the communication itself, which is key. If there is a situation where you feel like a specific screenshot would be very sufficient and very clear, definitely do that. It doesn't hurt to over communicate. And then remember, so when you write a note, always keep in mind that, again, this is the single source of truth. And then on this particular piece for this file, it is the single source of truth. So provide an abundance of detail, assuming that if someone needs to, again, step in on the file, the transition will be smooth and successful for that team member and for the client, right? Because ultimately, the communication should mirror internally what will be communicated externally to the borrower. So we want to align that as much as we can. All right. At this point, what questions do we have, if any? Cool. Again, very straightforward stuff, but very important nonetheless. All right. So again, it may be new to some, but maybe not new to everyone, but the notes template is a way of making it very linear, very effective. So we do have a job aid created for you to refer to. At the end of this session, I'll send out the job aid if you don't have it already. It's going to provide you with all the sections of the note template and a guide with how to fill it out correctly. So I'll share that job aid with you at the end of the presentation. For now, I'm going to showcase a tool that we recommend you use to make it a little bit easier. So you don't have to every time you make a new note using this new format, typing it out manually. So our recommendation is to utilize the sticky note feature. So again, you don't want to spend time typing up all these note templates every time you have to write a note. So this is a quick tip on how to do that. So creating a sticky note will ultimately live on your desktop with the template sections already on it. So every time you need to write a note, you can just simply copy and paste those specific items into it. So we can go down, we can showcase how to utilize the sticky note feature. Super straightforward, super easy. And I'll play a quick video detailing how to do that. So from the toolbar on your desktop, just click the magnifying glass icon and in the search bar, type in sticky note. Everyone will have access to this, so that'll pop up. Click to open it, a sticky note will open, and type in the note section templates from the job aid. So all of those pieces, who, what, when, action, follow-up, and total, remaining needs left. You can change the color if you'd like. You can also move it around anywhere on your desktop. You could close the note simply just by clicking the X. So this won't delete it, it will just remove it from your desktop. And then to reopen it, go back to the toolbar and then click on the magnifying glass and type sticky note to view and open the app again. So your sticky note will then reopen. You can copy and paste the text from the sticky note into your new note every time you have a new note in All In. So you can do this every time, just as a simple way to just make it more efficient time-wise. Time is money. All right. So You can also find this in the job aid, and we mentioned it earlier, or these are going to be timeframes. So we want to be very specific with our timeframes and very consistent with our timeframes. So the general rule for notes is all files must be worked on and followed up on for needs every single day, which is pretty straightforward and should be done, consistently at this point anyway. But it's recommended to follow up with a note in All In immediately after an action is taken or if needs are received. The standard requirement on response time is maybe, let's say, an LO leaves a comment on a file for you or for any internal team member. So, that should trigger team members to respond within a 2-hour time frame maximum. But we want to shoot for a 1-hour goal with that. Okay. So again, if an LO leaves a comment and you need to respond specifically, you have 2 hours max, but a 1-hour goal is what we're going to shoot for here. Okay. All right. So let's review how to add a note in All In. So if we've utilized All In at this point, we should have a general understanding. But for our new people here, this is kind of how we're going to find it and how we'll actually write a note. So after opening All In, first click on the loan icon or the note icon at the top, and then click on the note button. That'll pop this up. So here is where you'll type in your note and then add a screenshot if needed. And then this is key. So notify all users. So we need to ensure that the notified users checkbox is checked. So this is going to be very important. So this box must always be checked to ensure that the correct team members receive the notification of the note that you're leaving. Okay. So this always needs to be checked moving forward. And then we can do an @ mention if a specific person is needed, and then simply just click add note, and that'll post the note onto the file. And then everyone who is a participant on this specific file will receive a notification of that note itself. Again, pretty straightforward, but if there are any questions, what questions do we have at this point regarding adding a note? Cool. Again, very straightforward, but important. All right. So notes feature in the Loan Center. So this is somewhat new, and it is a cool feature in general. So here is the workflow. So this is where specific notes are going to live for specific items. So you can see the example based on the Loan Center here for the trackers. So this is another notes feature that is also, again, located in the Loan Center, but it's a separate entity in general. So you'll have access to this and then click on the note icon associated with the appropriate task that you'll need to comment on. So this is supposed to centralize the notes for each task, giving you a very easy or easily accessible place to refer back to. So you don't have to weed through all the notes if you were to just look at the normal notes feature, which is cool. So again, you don't have to sift through all that. So if we click on the appraisal space here in the appraisal notes section, you're going to find any updates or any screenshots, all important information only having to do with appraisal. So these notes, again, still same format. They need to be very specific, and the same thing every single time. On top of updating the statuses like paid, order, assigned, etc. But again, this centralizes the information, so you don't have to sift through all the loans. And these are the workflow items, so it's extremely important. So in the next couple slides, we'll go over a couple examples of some of these trackers and some of the notes potentially left in these trackers. So from the lock status, not really anyone here on this call's note that they would have to push, but this would be the capital markets team. So this would be simple. So when the loan is locked, it's going to say locked at 4.75, 30-day expiration, when it expires, the spread, the origination fee, the admin fee, total comp. Pretty straightforward, but very specific and very visible to anyone walking into the file, which is the point we're trying to make here. And then the appraisal status. So this will apply to some of us in here. So again, please order the appraisal, have a deadline here, ordered through North American or NAN, ordered on a rush, accepted on a rush. You get the idea here, very specific. And then, usually with appraisal specifically, You'll add a screenshot of the actual order and whether it's received, what have you. So you could put that in there as well. Here, screenshot that should be added, right? We got the rush, basic email, but over communication, over visual, really just showcasing everything that you receive is extremely important, because things then don't slip through the cracks, which is what we've seen happen in the past, which is what we're trying to avoid here. And then HOI, so even if you have specific contact information in another location, the HOI status could be a place where you would add the agent contact information, which is key. Another point that we're trying to make is the notes really focus in on things within the loan, so that anyone walking into the loan doesn't have to go and search all through ARIVE to find that information. So if they wanted to find the HOI contact information, this would be that place to find it, even in the notes section. And then CD status. So this isn't going to be an external kind of thing, but internally, right? So again, in the closing details, this is an email template that gets sent to the LO, the processor, LOA, and that this is for you guys to edit the details once the docs are out and the doc status out is triggered and all in. So again, it's not going to go directly to the borrower, but still it's something, and it's still something to add into the notes and all in, because there is a status here for that specifically. Again, simple examples, pretty straightforward, but effective nonetheless. All right, so we know about the new note template and how to use it. So let's just do it, which is utilize this as a practice. So we'll write a note together here. So we'll consider this scenario. So you need all borrowers on the loan to sign the intent to proceed so that you can begin to order the appraisal. Once you've reached out to the borrowers, and there are 2, and you need to make a note and all in to document that you've reached out to trigger that. So, what will you write and how will you write it using the new note template? So first, right, you would have it pasted ideally on your desktop. And we have that here. So we copy and paste, easy peasy. So next, let's fill out the section first. So the who. So the who in this scenario would be the borrower's names and then the form of communication. And then again, add in as much detail as possible. More detail is good. In the what section, so what did we do? So we told them that they must sign the intent to proceed so that we can order the appraisal. And then we need to express urgency here, right? We need to get their signatures within the TRID time frames, but we also want to order the appraisal as soon as possible, just for appraisal turn times, all that good stuff. And then the when, so when does this need to be completed? So I asked to have the borrower sign documents back by the end of day tomorrow, March 8th, very specific. Very detailed, very simple. Again, the 4th section would be, so what will you do once the intent to proceed is signed and received by both borrowers? So once I get their signed docs back, I will order the appraisal. Again, with that, that change in language, that change in mindset, I will order the appraisal. And then what will you do if the borrowers don't sign within the requested time frame? So I will contact them both again tomorrow morning to remind them that their signatures are again needed. And I will continue to contact them until they return the signed document. Again, urgency is key here. We need to, this is a scenario where the timeframes are very specific, and we do need them to sign their documents in a certain time frame. So urgency is key here as well. And then the 6th section, so what else is needed and from whom, right? So we need the signed intent to proceed from both borrowers. Again, some of you are utilizing this template already, but for our new folks, definitely, again, post or get the note template onto your desktop. Very easy to just copy and paste it for each note, specifically for this kind of note here as well, but pretty straightforward nonetheless. All right, so let's go through a couple examples together as a team. So again, now we know the notes template. We'll go through these 4 scenarios together and see if we can make it a very specific note using that template. So we'll do it together. So I'll ask for a first volunteer. So can I have one person go through the first example here with me? So how can we utilize the pieces of the note template that we just brought up with this first example? So you just submitted the order for an appraisal for the Ray family. So how would we do that? Who can help us out? What do we think? So you just submitted the order for an appraisal for the Ray family. How would we make a note of that in All In using the new All In note template feature? What do we think? Go ahead, Just. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
No, all good.
You put in, if you place the order, you could say place the order through NAN requested due date for like April 3rd. You could also say the payment link has been sent to the primary borrower at this email.
Good. Yeah, perfect, right? Perfect, straightforward. Also, right, you can, if you
Put
order
in their
the actual,
contact information,
put the
borrower's
contact,
information.
yeah, and you can
Yeah.
even take a snippet, screenshot. Good. Thanks, Justin.
Mhm.
All right, how about this second one? So you received intent to proceed from the primary borrower, but not the co-borrower. So the primary borrower explains that they've signed together, which used to happen to me all the time. People didn't know that they, have two separate accounts and have to have two separate signatures. So you reaching out, how would you make this a specific note in ARIVE or All In with the notes feature? What do we think? Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so if you just simply just like copy and paste that who, what, when, action, follow up. For who, you could basically just state, contacted the primary borrower. What was discussed? We discussed the intent to proceed and how both the primary and co-borrower need to sign the intent to proceed. And then action, I will reach out to the primary borrower and co-borrower to make sure that both of them have signed the intent to proceed. And I guess for when, you could probably even include like, if not received by this time, I will follow up. But that follow up, I suppose you'd probably just say, maybe actually probably put that part in the follow up, just like, if not received by tomorrow at 1 p.m., we'll follow up with the text. And then total remaining needs left, co-borrower needs to sign the intent to proceed.
Good. Awesome. Great job, Tim. Yeah, I mean, exactly that, right? We can even add, very urgent communication wording, right? Because again, when we're dealing with our TRID deadlines and stuff like that, it really is important to get the ITP signed as soon as possible. But good. All right. How about the third one? So the appraisal report just came in. You notified the borrower, Yang, and sent him the appraisal report. What would we do to utilize the function, the note-taking feature function with this scenario? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so for who, it would be the borrower, Yang, and then what, I would say completed appraisal report. And then like for the action, I would say received completed appraisal report, notified the borrower, sent it to him, also uploaded it in the doc section, under PTD1. for follow-up, I'm not really sure where we would go down the line because it is completed, so there isn't really any more action plans to take with that specifically. So I'd just say maybe even follow up, if the borrower has any questions about it, follow up with him. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would go for that one.
Good. Yeah, straight. Yeah, on the money, right? Again, not every piece is going to necessarily apply, but it is a guide, right? And it is very linear, like I kind of mentioned. But good point, and correct. All right, final one. So the loan is with underwriting, and the borrower, Samir, needs to take several actions, such as explaining a large deposit into their bank account of 10 grand and confirming they do not own a second property. So how would we utilize the note feature here for this scenario? What do we think? This one has a little bit more detail and then action required, right? So what do we think? Go ahead, Flem. Flem dog. What do we got?
So who would be Samir? What would be discussed is the underwriter conditions saying there's a large deposit in the bank account, and you can put in there which bank account, maybe the account number on the statement pertaining to certain document, and also what it also discusses the second property. For when, I'm not sure I really understand. Just when you speak to the borrower.
Yeah, it could be when you speak to the borrower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when could be today at 2:30, and the follow up could be the follow up action would be follow up with the borrower after you may retrieve confirmation from the borrower, like clearing those conditions, and you'll follow up with the borrower after you speak with the underwriter on clearing up those conditions.
Good stuff. Yeah. On the money again. Appreciate it, Justin. Thanks. Cool. Again, right? Very straightforward. The whole point of this new function or this new template is to streamline the process for you, but make it very clear and effective. But all in all, right? Pretty easy stuff. Cool. Thanks, everyone. So let's move forward. So, we've already discussed that it is going to be required to use the note-taking template every time that you're going to create a note. But the way you use the template itself is going to differ slightly depending on the type of note that you have to write. So first, let's talk about how to use the note template for loan milestones specifically. So for loan milestones, you're going to fill out each section of the notes template. So every single loan milestone must be consistently updated in detail using the notes feature, again, in All In. So here we have our milestones. So we have application intake, qualification, pre-approved, loan setup, disclosed, submitted to underwriting, approved with conditions, resubmittal, clear to close, docs out, docs signed, loan funded, broker check. We see what we have here, right? Not applicable to every one of us here, but we each play a part in a little bit of a different role specific to these milestones themselves. So fill out each section again with the notes template that we have. And these are going to be very related to the borrower and the underwriter specifically. So, you must also use the note feature or note template when we're creating, again, any other notes in All In. So you may not need to fill out every section, kind of like what we just referenced, but again, it's there as a guide. It's a way to, see it very clearly and very linearly. All right. So just to review, so the notes template, again, must be used for all notes. I've said it a million times. For all loan milestones or a need related to the borrower and or underwriter, we're going to need to fill out all sections of the note template. So for all other updates, responses, and then any other things to note, you're going to use the notes template, but just fill out the sections that are going to apply to the specific situation. So it's, again, still good practice to utilize it in general, but it's not always going to be required to fill out each section. So instead, just, again, fill out the sections that are going to be critical to your specific update. So some updates, again, are not going to have all applicable information, but at least the who and the what sections are pretty much always going to need to be completed consistently. And again, remember, all notes, no matter what type, are needed to be detailed, accurate, and consistent. So again, let's look at another example. So specifically for an update rather than a bigger picture milestone. So again, this is going to be a note that does not include all of the information or all of the note template sections filled out, but it's still, again, going to require the who and the what, because these are going to be critical details. So the scenario is, let's say you submitted an appraisal order for Jackson, the borrower, yesterday. You've been periodically checking the status of it and saw the appraisal has been scheduled. So you inform the borrower of when it was scheduled. You want to note this in all in to ensure awareness of all team members. So, how would you notate that using the notes template, knowing that this is not necessarily a loan milestone, specifically from the borrower or the underwriter. So again, we want to copy and paste the notes template feature, and then fill out the who section. So we called and spoke with Jackson at 2 p.m. And we told him that the appraisal has been scheduled for 8 p.m. or April 8th. Even if the appraiser themselves reached out to Jackson, right, we'd still want to note this in ARIVE because we have that information ourselves. And then the when section is not needed, right, because there are no issues or requests that need to be resolved. So in this case, you can just write NA. The action section would be, I reminded him of the next step, so the appraisal, and that I will notify him when the appraisal report will be ready. Obviously, he'll be in the loop because he would need to be working with the appraiser themselves to let them in the house and whatnot, but you get the idea. There's not going to be follow-up for this specific note here. So again, just write NA, and then the total remaining needs left. So for any remaining needs left, so we're still going to need the appraisal report from the AMC specifically. So in this case, documenting an update and all in, we didn't need to fill out the entire note template, just parts that we had information on already. But you'll notice that, we still have documented a lot of detail here. So the who, the what, the action, and then the remaining items needed. So if someone needed to step in on this file and read this note, they wouldn't have any problems understanding what's actually happening in real time with this file or what would need to be done next. So again, this is the communication expectation, writing in detailed, accurate, and consistent notes in general. All right, and then just to close this out, our fearless leader, Anthony Casa, our president, our CEO, encourages you to think about all-in note-taking expectations like this. So everyone that touches the borrower's file should be able to tell their story. That's why notes are important. So again, when you write a note in all-in, this quote, you should be able to look at the notes and tell the borrower's entire story just from what's documented there. So if you aren't writing the notes in this way with a high level of detail, then in the eyes of the organization, you're not doing it correctly, right? So to ensure, again, consistent client success and effective communication, we're going to use the notes template every time you write a note in all in. That way, any team member can access a file at any time and they will know the file's history and what next steps to take. Again, remember, effective communication is key. If we mirror what we're internally communicating, it will reflect the borrower's experience, all in all. And there's a job aid, so if you don't have it, I will send it out to everyone in this email or in this meeting. So I'll send that out here shortly. But that is all. What questions do we have on any of the stuff we covered today on taking notes? All right, well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, very straightforward, but there is a reason why we have to go over this, right? Because there's been lapses before, but this is to, really hone in on this very, effective feature that gives us visibility, because we have one system internally, but there's a million other broker systems that we're utilizing. So we just want to centralize everything and make sure everyone's on the same page. Cool. All right, guys. I appreciate everyone taking the time to go over this. You guys are great. I am always available if you need. I'll send out this job aid here shortly if you don't have it. So if I don't see you, I don't hear from you, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Again, I appreciate it all. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See ya.
you.
See you guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.